Bankson, will you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, Council is grateful to have Reverend Judy Alston, Dr. Judy Alston from the Woodland Christian Church to pray with us. Pastor, welcome back to Council.
Good evening. Let us pray. Creator, sustainer, and giver of life, to the one who is known by many names, on today we offer thanks and are grateful for the opportunity to be here on this afternoon. As we gather as servants and citizens of the City of Columbus, we pray that we are all ever mindful of opportunities to render service to our fellow citizens and to this community. We come to you today asking for your guidance, your wisdom, and your support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion and allow us to nurture the bonds of community. On this evening, be with council in their deliberations and decision-making. Help them to be wise in the decisions that are made for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in this leadership. Give them insight to lead with integrity and knowledge that their decisions may reflect what is right and good for all who live in this city. We pray that in our wonderful city that the spirit of love, the spirit of community, and the spirit of justice abide and continue to be our lead. We also pray for each council member tonight as they listen, deliberate, and vote. Give them the will to change what they can and to do what they can do to make our city an even better place for all. We also pray for any personal situations and needs that are for all who are in this attendance tonight, that they individually may have. Give us all direction, clarity, and peace. All of these things we pray in the name of all that we hold sacred and holy, all that we hold to be good and right and true. May it be so. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin. Any person who takes any actions to obstruct or interfere with the conduct of tonight's meeting may be charged with disturbing a lawful meeting pursuant to Columbus City Code 2317.12. Any person who enters those areas of city council chambers reserved for city officials or invited guests may be charged with criminal trespass pursuant to Columbus City Code 2311.21.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? My bad. This week's communications received by the City Clerk's Office are listed on the agenda and will be published in the City Bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read into the record?
Not at this time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If I was a little antsy or jumpy from my position as Council President tonight, it's because it's usually tough to do this job when you have 6 other council members in the chamber. It's much harder to do when you add 15 other former council members in the chamber, including a former council president. As we recognize Women's History Month in the City of Columbus, we are certainly making history tonight. We have not only a majority, but I think 15 of the 21 former council members that have women council members that have led this city from this dais. We are so excited to have all of you back. In the back room, I said this, that us colleagues, us folks who have sit on this dais, there are only a few of us in this community who knows what it means to sit up here, knows the challenges that it takes, and you and your leadership is why we are here to applaud you tonight. We're so grateful to have you here. We're going to make sure that we take this moment to pause and to recognize your service to this community. And so we're going out of order from normal council functions for this special time. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Shayla Favor.
Well, good afternoon and happy Women's History Month. No, We talked about this, right? Like by the end of the month, people are going to be shouting at the tops of the roof, right? So happy Women's History Month. So during Women's History Month, we reflect on the often overlooked contributions of women throughout history. It is a time when we reflect on who came before us and the path they have paved for the next generation of women that are after us. There's a famous quote by Malala in which she says, "There's a moment where you have to choose whether to be silent or to stand up." Throughout this month, I have been highlighting and celebrating the stories of phenomenal women throughout history. Now, we have the honor to celebrate and highlight the women who stood up and served on City Council, creating a better Columbus for everyone after them. Their courage and hard work showed women like myself and Councilmember Barroso de Padilla that we too could have seats in leadership. As Council's only current Black woman member, this celebration and Women's History Month holds truly a special place in my heart. Councilmember? Oh, President Hardin.
Thank you, thank you. I want to first start off with, I do have some remarks, but I think that as I reflect on Women's History Month, I come from a long line of strong women who instilled values in me, who instilled a fire in my belly for change. Women are at the forefront of most movements, of most change that we see in our community. And as I look out into these council chambers, I see women that I grew up with as a Columbus kid, women who went to my high school, women who were council members when I was growing up, who came to speak to me as a young person and breathe life into me and possibility into who I could become. And so I want to say thank you, because I believe, just like every other month, every day is Black History Month, every day is Latino Hispanic Heritage Month Day, every day is Women's History Day because of women like you, women who are strong and who are brave, and women who stand up for the things that they believe in and pave the way for generations after them. So I want to say thank you for paving the way that we walk today, for making it possible for us to be here. Thank you for continuing to be partners in making history together and for moving us closer to gender equality.
Thank you, council members. It's now my honor to introduce someone that is a Columbus legend, someone who did multiple tours as a council member on this dais, and I was lucky enough to serve with her several years ago. I'm going to turn it over to the living legend, Ms. Fran Ryan.
Good evening, and thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Great, okay. I have to come in with a big noise. It's humbling for me and certainly an honor to represent these wonderful, wonderful women. How great are they? They walk these halls. They remember the hours that we spent deliberating, not arguing, but deliberating on many, many issues. They have been the front runners, the forefront runners of this community. And every one of them holds a special place in my heart and a special place in this living room of Columbus. We have worked together on many other projects. We often talk to each other a lot, and when we can, we are a group of women who really believe that Columbus is the greatest city to raise a family and to live in here and work. So we want to be a part of whatever the future is going to be. We hope that we have some years left to do that. I want to give a shout out to those who could not make it tonight and to those who came before us. As you know, I started in '71, but there were some who were before me, and we want to recognize their promise and their commitment to the city and how wonderful it's been for all of us. So thank you, Council, for recognizing Women's History Month and for giving us a place at the table, that we're always welcome, I hope, to offer our suggestions, to keep mentoring other women so that they can become a part of this great city. Thank you so much for what you've given us, and we hope that we can serve the city for many more years, at least some. Okay, thank you so much.
And in the back, I said we had something fun planned. We are going to call the roll on all the council members. And before we call the roll, though, I would like to open up to my colleagues, the guys on the dais, to see if they have any comments before I call the roll.
This is always touchy to follow the Women's Caucus, so I'm going to be very brief. No, I just want to say thank you for being here, and thank you for blazing the trail, not only for my women colleagues who sit on this dais, but for a young boy like me, born and raised in Columbus and looked up to the great titans in these chairs. And I say titans because a lot of folks think of their heroes as the President of the United States and who our senators are and those things, which those are important. What's really important, as you all know, is our local leadership. This is where change happens. It is in this room that change happens, and it is but for folks that have courage, such as yourselves, that made ways and opportunities for us all to be sitting here and for the city that we see today. So I am full of gratitude, full of honor to be in your presence, and so thankful. And so those are my words on behalf of chair of the caucus that supports women, and I yield back my time.
And as vice chair of that same caucus, so many of you we know we're friends with. I'm proud to have served with several of you over the years and worked with so many more, both as a community leader and currently through the day-to-day things that you do to give back to the community. So it's just my honor to say thank you. This is one of the coolest things we've done since I've been on over the last 5 years, to see so many faces of leadership for our community and for this council to get us where we are today. So thank you very much.
The only thing I will add to that is these are sometimes tough years when folks are serving here at council. And I think one of the coolest things of looking out at all the folks that I'm seeing sitting here with us today is that all of you, after you left this place, continue to serve in different ways in our community. And so many of you have been friends and mentors to folks that are here. I can't count how many times that Fran has pulled me aside at an event and said, honey, I need you to do this for me right now. And you cannot tell Fran no. And so many of all of you have done very similar things and continue to serve Columbus in unique and very interesting and impactful ways, even while you're not serving on council. So not only thank you for what you did while you were here, but thank you for what you did after you left City Hall and what you're doing currently in the community, because we have relied upon you while you were here. And I think I speak for all members of the caucus that supports women. I think I got that all right, that we're a better community to have folks like you continue to serve our city and our civic institutions well after the service here at council has ended. So thanks for not only what you did when you were here, but so much for what you're doing now in the community.
Well, I've had the distinct pleasure of working with most of you over my career, and it has been an honor. I've learned from each and every one of you. And I have to say to you that I'm referred to as the new Fran Ryan. So thank you all. Certainly it is appreciative of all your hard work, all the things you've done. Yes, and we do stand on your respective shoulders. So congratulations and thank you for being here.
Thank you, council members. With that, would Councilmember Favor and Councilmember Barroso de Padilla please call the roll?
Absolutely. And I'm never one to correct Fran Ryan, but I will say this. For any of the women who have ever sat in the seat, no one gave us these seats. We earned them or took them. So I'm going to shout out the first woman who took a seat way back in the 1920s. Right. Olga Anna Jones was the first woman to ever serve on Columbus City Council. She was also instrumental in launching the Columbus Foundation and supporting civic organizations.
Thank you, Councilmember. And I'm just excited. I feel like we could take this show on the road. I'm just so excited that today, we always say, ladies, that the Women's Caucus is small but mighty. And looking out and seeing you all today, I mean, that statement could not be truer in Columbus's history, that it has always been small but mighty, right? And I am just grateful to be in the number with legends like you all. So I would say if you are present as we call your name, as we do the roll call, nobody can do it like Clerk Bevins, but please stand if you can or raise your hand because we want the city of Columbus to know exactly who we are shouting out right now. So Councilmember Golda Mae Edmondson, she was the first woman to serve as council president. She was an outspoken advocate for pay equity and representation of women in government.
Councilmember Fran Ryan. While on council, Fran Ryan helped found the Franklin County Metropolitan Human Services Commission and advanced support for safety and fairness in landlord-tenant relationships. We also can thank her for the room we are in now, as she led the preservation of council chambers while she was city clerk. Thank you, Fran Ryan.
Councilmember Pamela Conrad. Councilmember Conrad helped keep our community healthy and was a key figure in modernizing state Medicaid programs. Thank you so much. Across several, yes. Across several positions, she spent over 40 years working in government and healthcare. Thank you for your service.
Councilmember Dorothy Teeter used her time on City Council to invest in and strengthen community organizations and educational opportunities, including strong support for several programs at Ohio State. She would later become the first woman elected as the Franklin County Commissioner.
Councilmember Arlene Shoemaker. Councilmember Shoemaker helped promote financial sustainability and launched programs to help residents avoid debt. After leaving council, she spent over a decade as a Franklin County Commissioner.
Councilmember Cindy Lazarus. Former City Council President, and as a council member, she was a staunch advocate for our most vulnerable residents, including the homeless and those suffering from mental illness. And she also started the trend of coming from council to the YWCA. Thank you, Councilmember Lazarus.
Councilmember Les Wright. Councilmember Wright became the first Black councilwoman when she was appointed in 1990 and elected in 1991, helping pave the way for future Black leaders. I am proud to follow in her footsteps. During her time on council, she advocated for youth empowerment and investing in educational resources.
Councilmember Jeanette Bradley was also elected in 1991, breaking barriers for Black women. On council, she focused on community initiatives to improve safety, such as advancing a citywide streetlight policy. She would later serve as Lieutenant Governor of Ohio and State Treasurer.
Councilmember Lisa Griffin. During Councilmember Griffin's time on Columbus City Council, she advanced early efforts to create and enforce clean air standards. She has continued her public service work via Lisa Griffin Communications, where she leverages her marketing skills for community partners.
Councilmember Peggy Fisher helped keep Columbus clean by advancing legislation to support public utilities and invest in our infrastructure.
Councilmember Mary Ellen O'Shaughnessy. While on council, Councilmember O'Shaughnessy pioneered our Complete Streets program, fighting for more pedestrian access and bike trails across the city. She currently serves as the Franklin County Clerk of Courts.
My friend, one of my mentors and role models, Councilmember Shayla Tavares, helped make Columbus a cleaner and safer place to live, sponsoring programs like the Clean Indoor Air Act, the Housing Preservation Fund, and the Columbus Affordable Housing Trust. She would go on to later serve in the Ohio Senate. Congratulations.
Councilmember Patsy Thomas. Councilmember Thomas helped increase community investment and ensure that vacant properties were put to good use. She also used her legal expertise to serve as an assistant city attorney and Franklin County Municipal Court judge.
Councilmember Mary Jo Hudson, the first openly LGBTQ+ elected official in Columbus history. While on council, she oversaw rapid job growth and economic development while increasing funding for city services. She would later serve as the director of the Ohio Department of Insurance and a member of the Columbus City School Board of Education. Thank you.
Well, my former colleague, Councilmember Priscilla Tyson, Councilmember Tyson served over 14 years on City Council, making her the longest-serving woman in our history. She was instrumental in transforming our arts community, establishing and funding our first ever Columbus Arts Commission. Thank you for your work, Councilmember Tyson.
Councilmember Bankston, that's 3 warriorettes from Eastmore High School serving on this council. I just wanted to point out. Councilmember Eileen Paley. As the current chair of the Public Service and Transportation Committee, I am proud to honor Eileen Paley's contributions from when she held this position. As chair, she introduced a citywide curbside recycling program, ensured safe water delivery, and increased bike access. She currently serves as judge on the Franklin County Municipal Court. Thank you for your service.
And Councilmember Michelle Mills. Councilmember Mills helped revitalize our city by introducing programs to reuse abandoned properties and increase penalties for excessive vacancy. Thank you for your service, Councilmember.
Judge Jiza Page was the Economic Development and Housing Chair for Council, where she reformed the city's community reinvestment area policy to require below-market rate rents for the first time ever. She has served on the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas since 2019. Thank you for your service, Council Member.
And also our former colleague, Councilmember Liz Brown. Councilmember Brown was a champion of Columbus families while on council. She was instrumental in developing our comprehensive paid paternal leave program and protecting women's access to reproductive care and hygiene products. Thank you for your service, Councilmember.
Councilmember Shayla Favor.
Should I stand?
Yes, you should stand.
No, it's
Take
okay.
your moment. Is a fierce advocate for Columbus residents. As chair of the Housing Committee, she has fought for and passed greater protections for renters, more opportunities for home ownership, and more affordable housing in Columbus. She has also led the city's prohibition on the sale of flavored tobacco products that disproportionately impact Black and brown residents. She is a force to be reckoned with, and I'm proud to call her my partner in good and serve alongside her. Congratulations, Councilor.
And Councilmember Barroso de Padilla is the first Latina to serve on City Council. She is an unrelentless advocate for diverse representation and inclusion in our city, and she has already championed our recently passed pay equity legislation. Ladies, we have to give it up for that. As Chair of Public Service, she helps to champion innovative mobility and transportation strategies. I am so proud to serve alongside her, but more than that, I am proud to call her a friend and work with her in creating a better Columbus for future generations to come. Congratulations. I love you to pieces. Thank you.
Would you all join me in celebrating these phenomenal women who have served our community? Thank you. With that, can I get a motion to recess so we can allow the council members to leave the dais? So moved. Second. Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
We are in recess. We will reconvene in 5 minutes. We will go around the dais, starting with Councilmember Bankston. Councilmember Barroso de Padilla.
Thank you, Council President. I do have two announcements this evening. Both are invitations. On Tuesday, March 28th, we'll be hosting our first Immigrants Make Columbus Town Hall at Independence High School from 5:30 until 8 p.m. We're inviting folks who identify as an immigrant, migrant, or refugee, or the children of. Please register online at immigrantsmakecolumbus.com. Again, that's immigrantsmakecolumbus.com. We're looking forward to this conversation. This will be a first in a series of conversations that we're having, but we do hope folks will join us on Tuesday, March 28th. Secondly, on Wednesday, it's a big week, on Wednesday, March 29th, we're hosting a free and open to the public salary negotiation workshop and discussion. We're excited to partner with the Women's Fund of Central Ohio, the YWCA, Zora's House, the Latina Mentoring Academy, and Femergy to bring awareness to what we can do to close the pay gap, followed by an interactive workshop that will give participants the language and skills to advocate for themselves during the salary negotiation process. This is one of a series, part of a learning series after we passed the salary history inquiry ban. This is directed towards potential employees. So again, this is free and open to the public. We do ask that folks register because we have limited space. So for more information, you can contact my aide, Amaris Lemus, at aslemus@columbus.gov, or you can check my social media channels, Lourdes for Columbus, for the registration link. Thank you. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Brown. Press Pro Tem.
Thank you, Council President. I want to announce that at this time next week, you and I will be hosting a public hearing on Council's proposed medical debt relief ordinance here in Council Chambers at 5 p.m. We'll be focusing on a proposed contract with RIP Medical Debt, a national 501c3 organization that acquires and relieves financially burdensome medical debt. RIP Medical Debt buys debt from hospitals in bundles at fractions of the original cost. The contract will target medical debt for Columbus residents who earn less than 400% of the federal poverty level and/or those with medical debts that comprise 5% more of their annual income. The purpose of the hearing is to receive community input on the proposed ordinance and identify priorities in administering the contract. Representatives from RIP Medical Debt will be on hand to provide background on the work in other cities across the country and here in Ohio. Again, the hearing will be held here in Council Chambers next Monday, March 27th at 5 p.m. That's all I have this evening. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Favor.
Thank you, Council President Hardin. Well, if you all haven't noticed, it's been getting increasingly colder in the city of Columbus. Y'all like that? It's my honor to invite President Luke Fedlum and the brothers of Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated to the podium. Tonight, I will be presenting Resolution 0044X-2023 to recognize Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated Midwestern Regional Convention being held in the city of Columbus. Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was established as the first intercollegiate Greek letter fraternity for African American men. Since its inception in 1906, Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated has supplied voice and vision to the struggle of African Americans and people of color across the globe, promoting its principles of scholarship, fellowship, good character, and the uplifting of humanity. The city of Columbus recognizes and is grateful for Alpha's positive contributions to the community through its ongoing advocacy for Black and Brown people. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Chapter President Luke Fedlum.
Excellent. Council President Hardin, council members, and especially Councilmember Favor, on behalf of all the brothers of Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Alpha Rho Lambda Chapter, thank you. Thank you so much for this acknowledgement and for this honor. You've heard some of the background of Alpha, and I'll tell you that since December 4th, 1906, Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated has been developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence while providing service and advocacy for our communities. Chartered here in Columbus on December 21st, 1929, Alpha Rho Lambda Chapter has been doing just that work for over 90 years, working hard to serve our community. That work includes youth development programs, it includes service of food to the community, it includes voter registration and voter education. We look forward to continuing that work, and we're thankful for your acknowledgement tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Fetlum. You know, it's incredibly important when we present these resolutions. A lot of times it is not only to honor whoever's in front of us, but it is to provide an acknowledgement and another form of a platform to raise awareness of issues that we might be trying to overcome in our community. This one in particular is incredibly important as we think about the way in which Black men are often characterized in the media. And to see strong men like yourselves who are not only leading in our community, you're giving back and you're helping other young men come through the pipeline towards a path to success. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for the work that you do on behalf of your organization, but the work that you do on behalf of the young folks in our community. Thank you for that. Let me open it up to my colleagues to make any remarks if they have any.
Thank you, Councilmember Favor. Thank you for bringing this resolution, but thank you to this chapter for all the work that you do in our community. We can't do this alone, and we look to you. Matter of fact, we stand on your shoulders, stand side to side with you in the work of moving our community forward. We're so excited, and hopefully we are ready to put our best foot forward this week as you bring brothers to town. We are very excited to host the regional conference and look forward to folks will see and feel you guys here. And so we look forward to welcoming them as well and being a part of the services this evening. So thank you and welcome to council.
Absolutely. Councilmember Bankston.
Thank you again, Councilmember Favor, and just want to say, echo those congratulations and thanks. I see many familiar faces and friends, dear friends, that I've known throughout the years, and the impact that you make in our community every single day does not go unnoticed. But I also would be remiss if I didn't put on notice that I have a member of Phi Alpha fraternity in my office. So just wanted to make sure I gave that shout out to Kevin Jones. He's an amazing leader in my office and also in this community, thanks to the values that he's learned from this great organization. So we look forward to welcoming the Midwest Regionals later this week. And look forward to showing up the way that Columbus does. So congratulations.
And I would also be remiss not to acknowledge that to have the Midwestern Regional Convention to be hosted at one of our newest hotels in the city of Columbus, when we talk about economic development and what it means to bring tourism back to the city of Columbus, this is incredibly powerful that the Midwestern Convention has elected the city of Columbus to host its conference here. So we're going to treat y'all well. Say again? Yes. We're going to treat y'all well. No? At the hotel it is. How about that? That's how a Delta responds.
Councilmember Favor.
Councilmember.
I just also wanted to say, I've shared this in other venues, but for years I ran an organization called the Latina Mentoring Academy, and it was a professional development organization that was part modeled after the African American Leadership Academy, but also in the spirit of Black sororities and fraternities, the idea of sisterhood, the idea of service, and the idea of continuing to pour back into our communities. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that you are not only a role model within the Black community, but certainly for other communities that look to the best practices and say, how can we use some of those same ideals and some of those same values to uplift our communities for the benefit of all of us. So I just also want to say congratulations and thank you.
Thank you so much, council members. And the fun is not over. After we conclude City Council tonight, there will be an illumination ceremony, which means that we're going to have a few remarks. There will be a DJ that will play very light music. And then we're going to light City Hall gold in honor of the men that are standing before us. With that, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Adopted. I think we're going to take a picture. Thank you.
Yes.
Councilmember Remy.
Thank you very much, Council President. Just a reminder that litter is no joke, and the second annual Cleaner Columbus Citywide Cleanup is in 2 weeks on April 1st, kicking off at 9 a.m. at Wolf Park Shelter House. Join your fellow neighbors for a morning of service, picking up litter and helping make Columbus safe and clean. You can learn more and register by going to cleanercolumbus.org. Group signups are welcome too, and you can email those to cleanercolumbus@columbus.gov. Please, looking forward to seeing you out there in a couple weeks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council Member. And the only thing I'd like to, well, two things I'd like to mention. First, I want to recognize Auditor Kilgore and the finance team. I know because she invited me into her world the last couple of weeks. We periodically are rated amongst the top 3 large credit agencies. We have historically and proudly been one of the big cities that has maintained a AAA credit score. I cannot thank Auditor Kilgore enough, the finance team, for the work that they did over the last couple of weeks to make sure that we stay a AAA rated city. We just received word that Moody's did certify us. We are once again a AAA credit rating. Thank you, Auditor Kilgore. Do you have any, if you'd like to say anything, and your team for all the work that went into this
Yeah,
one?
thank you, Council President, members of Council. One additional item to share is that, you know, when we are rated, it seems sometimes that it's about, you know, let's say our financial management decisions that they're really looking at. The rating agencies look at the economy as a whole. They look at all of our types of jobs, sectors, industries. They look at things like our water and sewer capacity. The idea of a financial rating is really all-encompassing. And there are a lot of cities who do things well. But when we look at the city of Columbus from a financial management perspective, we are now the largest city in America to have a AAA. And that is an incredible undertaking. Very, very simply, when we consider what that means to the average, you know, resident in our community, it's just like the city has an absolutely perfect credit rating. So that if you were correlated to someone going to get a mortgage, the better your credit rating, the lower you can borrow from your mortgage. Same thing applies to the city of Columbus. So the fact that we have a perfect credit rating means that we can do more projects because we can borrow at the absolute lowest cost of borrowing. So it's a huge undertaking. Thank you for that acknowledgement, and thank you for tonight. It has been a very special council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And the only other announcement, my former alma mater, or my alma mater, the Columbus Afrocentric School, the Lady Nubians, won the state championship last week. So a shout out to the Lady Nubians. Are there any comments from the auditor?
You know, I should, Council President, mention, thank you, members of council, to all the directors. You know, this city, we work together, and it is very much like a family. I wanted just to make sure you were all aware that Mr. Dorian's wife did pass away overnight, and the arrangements as of just a little bit ago have not been acknowledged, but the family was with her, and I know he would want you to know, but stay tuned. The arrangements will be announced, I'm sure, very soon.
Thank you so much, and we are certainly keeping the Dorian family in our prayers this evening. City Attorney's Office, Treasurer. Are there any requests by members of council for the removal of an ordinance or resolution on the consent portion of the agenda? Hearing none, may we now have a motion to waive reading of titles of 30-day legislation by the city clerk? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Will the clerk now read into the record ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation on tonight's agenda?
Economic Development Committee, ordinances 792, 794, 795, 796, 800, and 803-2023. Public Service and Transportation Committee, ordinance 653-2023. Public Utilities Committee, ordinances 613, 726-2023. Public Safety Committee, ordinance 382-2023.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We don't have any speakers on the first reading. The following ordinance appear on our agenda as consent action. Will the clerk now read those into the record?
Economic Development Committee, ordinances 787 and 791-2023. Small and Minority Business Committee, ordinances 647, 656, 657, 659, 660, and 661-2023. Technology Committee, ordinances 641, 673, 674-2023. Public Service and Transportation Committee, ordinance 719-2023. Veterans, Senior, and Disability Affairs Committee, ordinances 702 and 703-2023. Recreation and Parks Committee, ordinances 440 and 442-2023. Public Utilities Committee, ordinances 200, 514, 601, 650, and 699-2023. Housing Committee, ordinances 679, 733, 762, 763-2023. Criminal Justice and Judiciary Committee, ordinance 734-2023. Health and Human Services Committee, ordinances 669, 708, 731, 746-2023. Public Safety Committee, ordinances 122, 617-2023. Administration Committee, ordinances 716, 821, 827, 828-2023. Finance Committee, ordinances 693, 718, 779, 813, 820, 832-2023, and appointments from the Mayor's Office numbered A0098, 99, 100, 101, and 102-2023.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have a few speakers on the consent portion of the agenda. First speaker to come before council is DJ Barnes, speaking on Public Service and Transportation Ordinance 0719. Welcome back to council.
What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite Franklin freak back at it again at Krispy Kreme. I'm not going biblical today. We're gonna keep it humble. I'm gonna try. I'm here today to talk about this $500,000 that we're given to an advertising firm for like parking or whatever. And I'd like to draw your attention to a 1955 study from this very city. This is from the delicious Twitter account, Cycle C-Bus, in which it states, "It should be recognized that all problems of traffic congestion and terminal facilities cannot be solved in the central district by endless catering entirely to the private automobile, and that ultimately a balance between private and mass transportation must be found." Now, we know which way this city went. It started with the highways that we put through Long Street in the thriving black neighborhoods of Long Street. We divided Franklinton with 315 later on. Now we've got East and West Franklinton, which wasn't a thing before. And, you know, it goes back to, we shouldn't be making, I know what the argument is going to be. If we make it easier to park, then that's less people driving around, that's less pollution. But who cares where suburbanites park? I mean, we're running out of space in the short north, and I feel we're at a precipice now where, like, it's time to decide. Are we going to keep catering to these suburbanites? Or are we going to, like, invest in people that actually live here? I mean, we've got Joanna Pinkerton, the CEO of CODA, is taking her $300,000 salary and living in Washington, D.C. with her boyfriend, where they already have mass transit. And they already have things like free bus fare that we don't have here, you know? And it goes back to, like, climate change. Everybody up here would say, climate change is real, it's bad, and we need to do something about it, right? I mean, Shannon, I'm only picking on you because you're the leader. You're one of the few people that have talked about it. I know you can handle it. You know, this is you, October 7th, 2020, during the vice presidential debates. Literally, the question of what is causing climate change is not a question. So what's the answer? It's the cars. You know, Columbus just got named the most polluted city in America. I'm not sure I believe that. I wouldn't put it up there. We'll let the final numbers coming in. But I know Columbus is more polluted than it should be because I live down in Franklinton. And every day I watch the suburbanites roll off 315, come through my neighborhood, trash it on Reddit as a war zone, throw trash everywhere, and blow exhaust fumes. You know, and that's why I got to come up here. You guys have your meetings at 5 p.m. on a Friday, which is fine. Well, where do you guys park? In the garage. underneath here, right? In Hobgoblin Central, you guys have your own personal garage. Regular people have to go through work where they're most likely overworked, underpaid, and then come up here and and then park and deal with Monday traffic and come up here, find parking and come up. And I just think it's a waste of time, waste of money, and $500,000, I would suggest fixing the sidewalks in Franklinton. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Chair, do you want to take
Yeah,
this? Yeah.
sure. Ms. Burns? Am I saying it correctly, Burns? Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you for your advocacy, and we cannot agree with you more. We're behind, I mean, that's funny, that was 1955, right? And that was clearly a different time. And if you look at our sidewalks, if you look at our transportation system, there is no doubt that we are behind. We are making moves to move us forward in a direction where we're moving from being car-centric to being people-centric, and it's going to take us a little bit of time, and that frustrates us just as much as it frustrates you. And I just want to assure you that what you're saying is not falling on deaf ears. We have some projects coming up that will start to help to make cycling easier for people. We are looking at bus rapid transit, which is, all over Latin America. They use bus rapid transit to literally move people. And so we are making moves in that direction. And I just want to thank you because I know that you come down here and advocate heavily for the things that you care about and for your neighborhood. And so I just, in this particular ordinance, I just want to highlight that for any big change that we make in a city of our size, there's dollars that we put aside for people to understand how those systems work. And this was factored into that entire project. And then that is one issue. I just wanted to address that, and I want to make sure, I also want to hand it over to, we have one of our deputy directors from Public Services, if there's anything that you want to add. And then the greater point that I think that you're just trying to make is we need to make moves to how we move our people and making that equitable for people and really investing in other modes of transportation beyond cars. And again, that's not falling on deaf ears,
I'd just like to see one of you guys on the bus one time. That'd
Sure.
be cool.
Sure.
That'd be cool. It's time, it's time. Like the Souder Bridge, that's good business. That's good business. If you guys were doing stuff like that regularly, I'd be up here throwing rose petals at your feet. I swear to God. I'm not some crank. You could come down to my neighborhood. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Sure.
I mean, why should a woman...
Mr. Barnes, I'm just going to cut you off just because we got some other speakers.
I know, but I just want newborn mothers in Franklin to be able to roll a stroller down the sidewalks.
That's fair. And I thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely.
the dialogue.
Deputy Director McGinnis, I just wanted to ensure, if you could just talk about the parking for just 1 second, just that campaign portion, and anything else that you want to highlight, and then we can move on, Council President.
Please.
Not a problem. Thank you, Chair Barroso de Padilla, President Hardin, and members of council. Last year, the Department of Public Service set up a new mobility enterprise fund. And that fund allows the Division of Parking Services to holistically manage on-street and off-street parking assets under one system to increase access in high-demand parking areas across the city, and also to support multimodal transportation options to better manage parking demand and support growth in the city. Around the same time last year, we entered into contract with Hunter Marketing to help educate the public on the conversion from individual meters to kiosks, and also expand our mobile pay system through Park Columbus. And really, we've seen tremendous results from this engagement. The parking app usage has gone from 65% to 90% citywide. According to Park Mobile, this is among the highest adoption rates in the country. There's a significant increase in user education through social media and paid media. We developed our My Buddy Charles video series to aid in helping educate the public in all ways to pay for parking, how to use the kiosk, game day parking, those type of things. This also led to a reduction in overall complaints on social media posts by actively answering questions and addressing misinformation. It also helped with our employee recruitment for parking enforcement and increased awareness of the parkcolumbus.com website, which is one of the most utilized websites in the city. Tonight, we're asking council to approve the modification of the existing contract with Hunter Marketing to build on that success from last year, while at the same time supporting additional public education efforts to enhance customer experience and advance other mobility initiatives, such as educating users on how to safely use e-scooters and how to park them appropriately.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Give me some sidewalks, that's all I ask.
Thank you.
Appreciate you all.
Thank you. The next speaker to come before council is Ms. Maudie Grace. Ms. Maudie is here to speak on ordinance 0702 and the Veterans, Seniors, and Disability Affairs Committee. Ms. Maudie, welcome back to council.
Okay, first tell me what am I speaking on, because I put in 4 and they sent me an email back and said, no, you only can get 2. So which ones did I get?
I have you down speaking in favor of a ordinance in Veterans Affairs Committee.
It's for our urban gardening program.
Okay, my concern is for my, excuse me, good evening, President and council members. I'm not with it this evening because I had to.
You're fine.
Anyway, my concern is about the senior accessibility around the city, as well as the disabled and the veterans, because I was informed a few weeks ago that we have a very high rate of veterans that are suicidal and things like that. And there's just, to me, not enough information being given to us to help those that need it. So, and the accessibility, because when I came down here for council, I was rushing because I went to a doctor's appointment first, and there's no place to park. I went over to the garage and parked, and then I jaywalked across the street because my legs wouldn't carry me any other way. So I'm just asking that more sensitivity and accessibility be given to seniors as well as the veterans and people with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maudie. Chair, do you have any?
Yes, I was just going to say, earlier this year, we made disability part of the Senior and Veteran Affairs Committee for that same reason. As we were talking to our veterans and our senior community, we recognized that, you know, folks could be part of each one of those communities, that they were having, while nuanced issues, some of the same challenges. And so we've looped that into part of the work so that we can continue to work with organizations like Age Friendly and COAAA, and certainly a myriad of our veteran community organizations, so that we can continue to make the city both more accessible, continue to have a sense of belonging for our seniors. I invite you at any time I'm happy to meet with you, to have conversations about some of the things that you may be experiencing, and then to also connect you to some of the resources that we have through these organizations and through these partners. So thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for elevating those concerns.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you, Ms. Maudie. The final speaker to come before council on the consent portion of the agenda is Mr. Nate Wilkins, speaking in favor of ordinance 0679-2023. Mr. Wilkins, welcome back to council.
Arlington Avenue, Mr. Lieutenant George Wilkins. What I'm going to be in favor of this for about 2 reasons only. I don't know how long that this house has sit in land bank of 1462 east of Fulton Street. To my knowledge I believe this house has sit vacant in 2021. The city had took this over in August of the 20th. This home was built in 1910, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. On the Franklin County Auditor's website, as I stand in front of you all today, I don't know if this house is still on the parcel of this land, since the city had owned it for quite some time. If we are talking about moving vacant property, land bank, refurbishing this, what I would like to see, I don't know if this house still stands on this property at Fulton Street, but again, we want affordable housing or multiple disability housing. That's what I don't see, but I see a lot of houses are going up, apartments, especially apartments, but not these type of houses that sit idolized and empty for decades and time after time. What I would like to know, what was the timeline that this particular home has sit in the land bank? And if it's still occupied on this occupied land to this day? What I would like to see is a multi-disability house in the place of that, to have more people that's multi-disability, and also bring in 130% tax abatement for this. For you have houses out here that's being built for a tax abatement for more than 15 years. I want to see something that's more than 25 years or 35 years tax abatement for free. For those people that's on a fixed income, don't have a stable job, is not working a 40-hour work week. If this is a vacant land or their house is still occupied, if the city can really refurbish these vacant homes and turn them around for a tax abatement for more than 25 to 35 years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Director, would you follow up with Mr. Wilkins unless you know how long it was sitting in the...
It's been in the land bank since 2018. The structure still exists, and the buyer will rehab it and live in it.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions or comments to come before council regarding the consent portion of the agenda? Seeing none, may we now have a motion for approval of these items designated as consent by voice? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Bankston?
Yes.
Ms. Barroso de Padilla?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorans?
Yes.
Ms. Favor?
Yes, with the exception of ordinance 0660-2023, from which I'm abstaining.
Mr. Remy? Yes. President Hardin?
Yes, consent portion of the agenda is passed with the noted exceptions. We'll now proceed with the second reading of 30-day postponed and emergency legislation. The first committee to come before council is the Small Business Committee, and that committee is chaired by Councilmember Bankston. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Hardin. First up for second reading in the Small and Minority Business Committee is Ordinance 662-2023 to authorize the Director of Development to enter into a contract with the Discovery Special Improvements District of Columbus, Inc. for the implementation of services set forth in the Plan for Services, to direct the city auditor to appropriate and expend up to $1 million from the assessments levied from property owners, and to declare an emergency. For those in the audience or those viewing who are unfamiliar, special improvement districts, or more commonly referred to as a SID, are self-help tools governed by Chapter 17.10 of the Ohio Revised Code, allowing property owners within a special defined district to organize and assess themselves the cost of providing area-wide services. The assessment funds are collected by the Franklin County Auditor's Office along with property taxes. Then those funds forwarded to the city and turned over to the Special Improvement District. Tonight on the council agenda, there are 8 annual disbursements for SIDS throughout the city. This ordinance and the next ordinance are disbursements for the SIDS covering downtown, and because of their large number, are not on the consent agenda. Discovery SID covers the eastern side of downtown, while the Capitol Crossroads SID covers the core 38 blocks of downtown. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy. President Hardin?
Passed.
Thank you, President Hardin. Next ordinance in the Small Minority Business Committee is Ordinance 668-2023 to authorize the Director of Development to enter into a contract with the Capitol Crossroads Special Improvements District of Columbus, Inc. for the implementation of services set forth in the district's plan for services, to authorize and direct the city auditor to appropriate and expend up to $3,100,000 from assessments levied from the property owners, and to declare an emergency. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy. President Hardin?
Passed.
And in the Small and Minority Business Committee, Council President, I have one item I would like to introduce from the floor this evening.
Please.
Oh, thank you. I would like to introduce Ordinance 847-2023. This is to authorize the Director of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion to contract with the State of Ohio Collective in support of the Ohio Black Expo Week events and other programming, to authorize the transfer of $25,000 within the general fund, to authorize an appropriation within the Neighborhoods Initiative Subfund, to authorize the expenditure of $100,000 from the general fund, and to declare an emergency. Council members, last year, just over 10,000 people attended the return of the Ohio Black Expo after an over 10-year hiatus. And this week's long events, which culminated with the Riverfront Culture Fest at Genoa Park. The vendors at the festival reported approximately sales of $250,000, showcasing how powerful of an economic driver this expo had directly on small businesses in the city of Columbus. A few of the offerings for this year's Expo Week include an expansion of the convention for small businesses, as well as an elevated event experience. Those include the Ohio Black Expo Annual Convention with the Level Up Small Business Conference, the State of Black Ohio, networking events, empowerment sessions for youth, information on health and wellness, and much, much more. I am proud of council support for this event and look forward to the economic, cultural, and community benefits the city will experience at this year's expos. Those who are interested in being a vendor at the expo or purchasing tickets or seeing more of the offerings can find more information at ohioblackexpo.com. We are really excited to have them back in the city. If you didn't have a chance to go last year, it was a beautiful weekend of community, zero safety incidences, and also a great economic jolt to our community over the Memorial Day weekend. So if you're in town, please visit the Ohio Black Expo, and for more information, go to ohioblackexpo.com. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Pass.
Thank you, Council President. Now may I move to the Technology Committee?
Please.
Thank you. For second reading in Technology Committee this evening, we have Ordinance 573-2023 to authorize the Director of the Department of Technology to enter into contract with Brown Enterprise Solutions, LLC, for the procurement of various Adobe software application products for the Department of Technology and various other city agencies, to waive relevant provisions of Columbus City codes pertaining to competitive bidding, to authorize the expenditure of up to $182,182.18 from the Information Services Operating Fund for the above described purpose, and to declare an emergency. Council members, as mentioned in the title, this ordinance authorizes the Director of the Department of Technology to spend $118,882 and enter into a contract with Brown Enterprise Solutions, LLC, for the purchase of Adobe products. Adobe software is used by city departments to improve efficiencies and enhance communications while meeting various requirements such as HIPAA compliance. Out of the two vendors approved to provide pricing through the State Master Cloud Services Agreement, Brown's pricing overall was the lower of the two. Of the total, $144,761.30 is for the continuation of 957 licenses. The balance of $37,420.88 are contingency funds in the event additional licenses are needed throughout the year. Because only 2 bids were received, the department requests a waiver of competitive bidding. The current contract expires on March 29th, 2023, so an emergency designation on this ordinance is necessary to avoid service interruption. Seeing no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Pass.
Thank you, Council President. That's all I have in my committees this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Neighborhood, Immigrants, Refugees, and Migrants Affairs Committee, chaired by Councilmember Barroso de Padilla. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. I have one ordinance today in my committee, 0848-2023, to authorize the city clerk to enter into a grant agreement with the Masters Preparatory Academy for the support of the Ubuntu Leadership Institute, and to authorize an appropriation and expenditure within the Neighborhood Initiative Subfund, and to declare an emergency. The Ubuntu Leadership Institute, ULI, is an intensive 6-week educational leadership and workforce development program aimed at raising 9th, 10th, and 11th grade African American young men throughout Central Ohio. Programming is designed to immerse students in an environment that will enhance their leadership skills, character development, problem solving, critical thinking, and equip them to become equip them to become positive change agents for their communities and their families. I would like to hand the floor over to Councilmember Bankson to talk a little bit more about this initiative.
Thank you, Councilmember Barroso de Padilla, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Really excited about the work that the Ubuntu Leadership Institute is doing in our community. I had the privilege of going to speak to these bright young men last year, and I will tell you that the future of Columbus is bright. And earlier this year, as we were doing the budget process, I announced several amendments of this year's operating budget. And one of those was investing in our families. And this is one of those initiatives, so I'm really proud of the work that my office has done and also that of the Ubuntu Leadership Institute. We actually have Dr. Roberts Murphy, who's in the audience today. If she could come up and also, if he could come up and also the program participants as well, just so you can hear from some of these young men. But as you stated, Council Member, this is an intensive program specifically targeting our Black young men. And I think, Councilmember Favor, it's fitting that on a day like today when we're honoring the oldest Black fraternity in our country, realizing that making an investment in our futures of tomorrow, that means intentionality. And so I wanted to have Dr. Murphy say a little bit about the program, and I'll turn it over to you.
First of all, thank you very much for your support of our program. President Hardin, good to see you again. The Master's Preparatory Academy is a boarding school designed for African-American males. It is not a reality yet. It is something that we are working towards in the future. But the Ubuntu Leadership Institute is a program that says that our young men have tremendous potential and tremendous qualities. They just need someone to help them establish them, help them to grow them, help them to realize their potential. And so this will be our third year of a residential program. We'll be at Ohio State University for 2 weeks, and then we'll do some hybrid programming after that. We have partnerships with the College of Engineering, the Fisher College of Business, the College of Education and Human Ecology, also the Curran Institute. So I would like a couple of my young men to say what they think of the program. Carter's been with us for 3 years, as well as Marquise and Michael.
Well, I am familiar with the mic. Also, a pleasure seeing you again, President and Council. I'm going to talk a little bit about my Ubuntu experience. It's been very diverse and also helped me become the young leader I am today. I started my freshman year, and this is kind of what got me here today, as well as knowing all your names and having your business cards. Through Ubuntu, I was able to develop my own leadership style and really project my confidence in different ways that I didn't even know I was capable of, and expanding my potential to where I am now. So I appreciate your time, and please give your utmost respect and praise to Ubuntu Leadership Institute, the people that made me. Thank you.
All right, good evening, Council. I'll go by Michael Stephen Frazier, and something that I have to say about the Ubuntu Institute is that going into it, I wasn't sure what to expect, and hearing that I was going to be away from home for about 2 weeks during my summer wasn't what I was trying to hear. But immediately going into this program, I saw nothing but just great characteristics about not only the people around me, but the people that were helping me build who I am today. The product of this institute is amazing. Not only do I know people around Central Ohio and even further than that, it helped me just network, build connections with people that have great power, and just programs in, I'll just say, portions of life that I want to get into. And also it's just seeing the success of people my age and even younger than me. Somebody that is not here today, but what did participate in the Institute, had a dream of wanting to be a DJ and a former entertainer. But after this Institute, we saw that he has done nothing but succeed. He is a DJ, he is a great leader, he is just only expanding his brand, and this is only just one small example of what this Institute has helped build. Yes, it will be great to invest in, and thank you for your time.
Good evening. Most of y'all probably know who I am because I was here last time. But my name is Marquise Scales. I go by Keys. And this institute really taught me how to be a better leader. And it taught me about networking and communicating with, not only by, my peers, but people older than me. When I first started out, I was very like an introvert, very quiet. Just a person to sit back and let other people do the work. But then when I joined the Institute, that really changed who I am as a person overall, because it taught me how to get out of my comfort zone and taught me how to speak out more. I don't know if he's here today, but Coach Jasper, he really pushed me to be the best person I am today. Same with Dr. Murphy here. They both, provided me with the resources that I need to be successful. So I just want to thank both of y'all for helping me out for everything. And also, this institute really taught me about leadership. I am because we are. A person is a person through other people. So I took those words and used that with me. And right now I'm helping my community, being a better leader, setting the way for others to succeed. And I just want to thank, once again, Dr. Murphy and Coach Jasper for everything, because without them, I'll probably still be quiet and an introvert. So I just want to say thank you.
And one more thing to add is through the program and the skills we learned, you're looking at the Columbus Chapter Capital League President, Vice President of the Columbus Chapter of Alpha Esquires, and who's not here with us today, Isaiah Kahir. He is the Sigma Beta Chapter, Columbus Chapter President. And Marquise here, he is the leader of his Eagle Scouts. Thank you.
And I think we want to be clear, too, that we, in this building, we address Mr. Robinson as Councilmember Robinson, because he's also on the Columbus Youth Council.
And all three of them are seniors on their way to college as well. So again, thank you very much for your support. We'll be back to show you what we've accomplished this coming summer, and appreciate everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Please give him a round of applause, please. Thank you again, Dr. Murphy, and also I'm gonna have to embarrass him a little bit, but Michael Stevens, I remember when he was tiny, and now he's a grown man. He was at Mount Hermon when I was a youth minister, so he was always a great kid. Wink, wink. No, but I want to thank them again, and I want to say to those young men, and I want you all to hear me clearly, as a black man, you are not a threat or a liability in this community. You are a treasure and an asset. And what we do in this community is we invest in our assets, and you are some of the brightest ones. I've often said this to you all, and I'll say it to you again. You're not simply our future, you are our now. And so your leadership starts today. You are the future leaders of this community, but you can lead from where you are, and you are taking that on head on. So I want to commend you. Stick with it. There's going to be bumps in the road for you, but you know that no mistake that you make is greater than the purpose that lives down on the inside of you. So I want to thank you for your commitment to yourself and to this community. Also, I see my brother, Dr. John Tyus, back there, who's an instrumental part as well. I want to give him a shout out. Thank you, Council, for indulging us, and thank you, Councilmember Barroso de Padilla, for taking this legislation on. I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you for championing this legislation. Thank you for letting me be part of it. I also want to shout out Councilmember Robinson, who was also part of the Fashion Institute this past summer. And I think that is progress, right? When we start seeing our young people take advantage of all the amazing things that happen throughout Columbus and all the amazing programs that we have happening. And so I love that we know people who are 3 times your age that have never even stepped in this building, and the fact that the 3 of you came in here, owned that microphone, and said, y'all know who I am. I appreciate that energy. So with that, do any of my colleagues have any other questions or comments? Great. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just also add to Lourdes' last point, the way that you guys own this podium, the confidence that you guys presented, the way that you presented yourselves, let's normalize that when it comes to our Black youth, that excellence, that Black male confidence. I'm just so proud, and I just pray that Morehouse College got their hands on one of y'all, if not all of you. Please, please.
You trying to write some letters of recommendation,
Man.
Council President?
Very, very proud, though. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Pass.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next committee to come before council is Public Utilities Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Dorans. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Tonight in Public Utilities, we have ordinance 0590-2023 to authorize amendment to the 2022 capital improvement budget to authorize the transfer of cash and appropriation within the sanitary bond fund, to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to renew and increase the professional engineering services contract with DLZ Ohio for the Lower Olentangy Tunnel Project, to authorize an expenditure of up to $1,884,000 from the sanitary bond fund to pay for the renewal. The proposed Lower Olentangy Tunnel will mitigate sewer overflows in the Olentangy River by working in tandem with the 4 Pillars of Blueprint Columbus program to enable the city to address several elements of the sewer consent orders that are the 4 pillars that cannot be addressed on their own, which will improve water quality in the Olentangy. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0632-2023 to authorize amendment to the 2022 capital improvement budget to authorize the transfer of cash and appropriation between projects within the sanitary bond fund, to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter a construction contract with Hatch Associates consultant for the Jackson Pikes wastewater treatment plant control system improvements project, and to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,420,000 from the sanitary bond fund to pay for the project. This project improves security of wastewater treatment plant that ultimately protects the Scioto River by improving employee safety and reducing the risk environmental impacts against city facilities. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Pass.
Next, we have ordinance 0639-2023 to authorize amendment to the 2022 capital improvement budget to authorize the transfer of cash and appropriation between projects within the water bond fund, to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter a construction contract with Clear Creek Coatings for the North District East Tank 2023 painting improvement project, and to authorize expenditure of up to $2,169,900.15 from the water bond fund for the project. These improvements will keep this water tank in optimal condition and prolong its service life. Special consideration towards environmentally friendly operations will be implemented, which will result in significantly reducing the volume of waste being sent to the landfill. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Pass.
Thank you, Council President. That's all I have in the Public Utilities Committee at this time.
Impressive. Thank you. We should break. May I have a motion to recess?
So moved.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Council is in recess.
Go.
The chair says we can roll right into it.
Yep.
Let's roll. Can I get a, 1 second? You only have one? Regular meeting number 15 will now come to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. We'll now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Dorans chairs that committee. All members serve on it. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Hardin. Before beginning tonight's zoning agenda, allow me to briefly explain our current rules pertaining to speaking before council on rezoning and variances. We only hear a staff presentation for ordinances that have a disapproval from a recommending body, or if we have a public speaker signed up to speak against an ordinance. We have received 0 public speakers slips this evening. All speakers on council variance, including city staff, area commissioners, applicants, and members of the public, will be sworn in before they give testimony. Representatives of an area commission and applicants are always able to speak on an ordinance and do not need to fill out a speaker slip. On the advice of the city attorney's office, I will now swear in city staff. Please stand and raise your right hand and be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth and nothing but the truth as you answer under the pains or penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do. Thank you. Please let the record reflect that Tim Dietrich from the Department of Building and Zoning Services has been sworn in. First, we have ordinance 0740-2023 to rezone 2870 Allen Creek Drive, being 4.17 plus acres located on the east side of the Allen Creek Drive, 740 plus feet north of Watkins Road, from PUD 8 Plan Development District to AR 12 Apartment Residential District. At the request of the applicant, I move to postpone consideration of this ordinance until April 3rd, 2023.
Is there a second? Clerk, please.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0741-2023 to grant a variance provisions of section 3333.18 building lines of the Columbus City Code, so the property located at 2870 Allen Creek Drive, to permit a reduced building line in the AR 12 Apartment Residential District for a multi-unit residential development. At this time, and at the request of the applicant, I move to postpone consideration of this ordinance until April 3rd, 2023.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 0758-2023 to grant a variance provisions of section 3332.037 R2F Residential District, 3312.49 minimum number of parking spaces required, 3321.05 B1 vision clearance, 3332.14 R2F area district requirements, 3332.26C minimum side yard permitted, and 3332.27 rear yard of the Columbus City Code, so the property located at 729 East Beck Street to permit a 2-unit dwelling on one lot with reduced development standards in the R2F residential district. The applicant is Rob Gordon. The proposed use is two 2-unit dwellings on one lot. City's Department recommendation is approval. Columbus Southside Area Commission's recommendation is also approval. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Accept it.
Thank you. I next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Adopt it.
And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. That's all we have in tonight's zoning agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. See no further business coming before the zoning committee. Is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Meeting is adjourned. The council member said, keep on rolling. Is there a motion to reconvene in meeting number 14? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
We are reconvened. Is there a game going on something right now? Here, the women's basketball is. It's over. How do we do? There we go. There we go. We'll now go to the Health and Human Services Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Favor. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President Hardin. Tonight in Health and Human Services, we have ordinance 651-2023 to make appropriation for the 12 months ending December 31st, 2023 for the Health Department Grants Fund to the Department of Health in various projects and object classes for the continued operation of grant programs, to authorize the Board of Health to accept grant awards and to declare an emergency. This ordinance authorizes the appropriation of $1,230,210.41 in the Health Department's grant fund for fiscal year 2023. This is the annual appropriation ordinance for Columbus Public Health grants that allows for the continued operations of the various grant programs in the Health Department. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Passed.
Thanks. Next, we have ordinance 738-2023 to authorize and direct the Board of Health to accept a grant from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for the Healthy Start Grant Program in the amount of $1,144,121 to authorize the appropriation of $1,144,121 from the unappropriated balance of the Health Department Grants Fund and to declare an emergency. Columbus Public Health has been awarded a grant from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The ordinance is needed to accept and appropriate the money in grant monies to fund the Healthy Start Grant Program for the period of April 1st, 2023 through March 31st, 2024. The Healthy Start Grant Program enables Columbus Public Health to conduct an evidence-based home visiting program in Franklin County, focusing primarily on African-American women residing within the city of Columbus zip codes. Healthy Start is funded to serve 700 clients, of which 300 are pregnant women, 300 are infants or children up to the age of 18 months, pre-conception women, interconnection women combined, and 100 fathers, male partners affiliated with Healthy Start Women, Infants, and Children. Clients receive education on pregnancy, women's health, infant growth, development, safety, nutrition, immunizations, breastfeeding, and safe sleep. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I'd move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. That's all I have in my committees.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam Chair, the next committee to come before council is the Environment Committee chaired by Councilmember Remy. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Council President Hardin. Tonight I have one ordinance in the Environment Committee, and that's Ordinance 775-2023 to authorize the Director of Public Service to renew the contract with Rumpke of Ohio, Inc. for yard waste and recycling collection services, to authorize the expenditure of $16,314,036 from the general fund for the 7th year of the contract and to declare an emergency. This ordinance authorizes the Director of Public Service to renew a contract to add funds for year 7 of the collection services of yard waste and recyclables from a 2017 contract with Rumpke of Ohio. Continuation of a separate collection for yard waste and recyclable items is necessary to segregate them from the regular waste stream. This serves to extend the life of the landfill operated by the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio. The collection services, a yard waste and recyclables contract, provides bi-weekly collection of recyclables and yard waste for residents, servicing of recycling containers deployed along Broad Street and High Street as part of the pedestrian recycling program, glass pickup from restaurants and bars along North High Street as part of the Recycle on High program, and recyclable collection services for the solar compactors deployed in the Short North area. Bi-weekly collection of the residential recycling program will end, and weekly collection will begin in the summer of 2023. Also beginning in the summer of 2023, the service provider will accept and process multifamily recycling from the City of Columbus, office recycling from the City of Columbus buildings, and the newly established City of Columbus convenience centers up to 1,000 tons per year for each service at no charge. I would like to thank the division administrator who stayed dutifully till this point. It's his son's birthday, and I told him he needed to get out of here. So I want to thank the division administrator, Tim Swager, for his leadership and work to get us to this point. Thank you to him and his team and all who have worked diligently to make options available to help reduce waste. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Harden.
Pass.
Council President, with your permission, could I move to rules and reference?
Sure. Yes, please.
All right, great. Next, we have Ordinance 1730-2022 to amend various sections of Chapter 573 of the Columbus City Code to clarify the permitting and operational requirements for mobile food vendors, reconstitute the Mobile Food Vending Advisory Board, and adjust the hours of operation in which mobile food vending is permissible, and to repeal the existing code sections being amended. The question of amending the mobile food vending chapter came to Columbus City Council in the fall of 2022 after the city received various concerns about public safety in the Short North District during the early hours of the morning. When it comes to public safety in any business district or neighborhood, there must be numerous approaches taken to resolve issues. One of the many approaches the City of Columbus is taking involves amending Chapter 573. The amendments to this section include increasing regulation over food cart operation in the right-of-way by designating reservable spots in congestion zones such as the Short North through an online reservation system, reconstituting the Mobile Food Vending Advisory Board, clarifying law enforcement's authority to enforce sections of Chapter 573, clarifying the late hours in which push carts are permitted to work in the right-of-way by explicitly ending food vending at 2:30 a.m. and keeping 3 a.m. as the time that any units must be clear of the right-of-way, adding an exemption in an earlier section of Title V that allows discretion with the license section when the license section reviews mobile food vending applications. Columbus City Council actively engaged stakeholders over an extensive outreach process beginning in the fall of 2022 that involved 3 public hearings and multiple roundtable discussions. In addition, Council is committed to ongoing engagement with stakeholders in the reinstated Mobile Food Vending Advisory Board as it will examine the efficacy of the amendments through 2023 and into the following year. I do want to thank each and every one of the stakeholders who have attended public hearings, roundtable discussions, written to us, or otherwise have been following this process. Thank you to our city partners in the City Attorney's Office, Department of Public Service, Columbus Public Health, and the Department of Public Safety, and especially Kathy Collins in the license section for their partnership in this process. And thank you to my council team members, Lucy Frank, John Oswald, for their work over the past 6 months. Are there any comments from any of my colleagues on this? It's a long process. We engaged a lot of people. And we made some good compromises, and I think it was, we'll continue to watch. We'll continue to look for ways to help alleviate congestion within the area. There's much more to it than just what they call street meat, affectionately. So, Councilmember Bankston.
No, I just want to say on behalf of small and minority businesses, thank you for taking a balanced approach between real safety concerns, but also understanding that this does affect our small businesses because our mobile food cart vendors are such that. So just thank you for your leadership and the approach that you took in convening many stakeholders.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to amend as submitted to the clerk.
No, I do want to echo Councilmember Bankston. I know this was not easy. I watched and learned from the side of how you led this process. And thank you for bringing everybody together, and thank you to getting us to where we are today. So, clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Passed.
I move for passage as amended.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bankston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Now it's passed.
All right. And before I leave tonight, we didn't have anything in public safety, but I do want to mention that the Columbus the police department officer down at the front desk, who's only been our only CPD officer down there that's worked there, is retiring. This is his last meeting. He served for the last 32 years to the division. Mike Justice, we want to wish him well, and I guess we'll have a new face down there. So thank you very much. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, and thank you for your service, Mr. Justice. Finally, in the Finance Committee, we have 0667-2023 to authorize the Finance and Management Director to enter into the contract with the Greater Columbus Convention and Bureau Business, Experience Columbus for destination marketing services to promote and publicize the city of Columbus as a desirable location for conventions, trade shows, and similar events, and to authorize the expenditure of $11,621,000 from the Hotel Motel Excise Tax Fund, and to declare an emergency. I see the leader of Experience Columbus is here, Mr. Brian Ross. Would you like to come forward and give a little bit more background on this ordinance and how it will be used? I know this is a very, very busy and exciting year for Experience Columbus in our city. We just had the Alphas who are having their conference, but we have some other ones.
I was going to
coming as
say,
well.
I mean, come on, between Charles and everybody coming in with Phi Alpha, that was wonderful. But I'm here representing you. I did hear that you heard the women won. So I'll state, which is awesome. Last second shot, but all good. I'm Brian Ross with Experience Columbus. I do want to thank Council President Hardin and all of you with Council, Auditor Kilgore, for your continued support and involvement, because you've been very involved in a lot of the things that we do here with Experience Columbus and the Greater Columbus Sports Commission. Linda was a little busy, so as you can probably imagine, so unfortunately she couldn't be here, but sends her best. We continue to focus on 3 key pillars in the community, and that's human and economic development, brand and image, and quality of life. So through that, we actually had a great start this year. We had PCMA that we hosted in January. The Arnold Sports Festival was back almost as busy as 19, but still not there. On our way, though. A bunch of concerts and sporting events. Obviously, the NCAA first and second rounds here in Columbus, which was wonderful. And I'm not sure if everyone knows, Linda would make sure that we shared this if she was here, but the only city in the U.S. that had the male and female first and second round. So wonderful. And then obviously Phi Alpha starting, I think, in a few days, the 23rd, I believe. To have everybody in at the new Hilton downtown is going to be very exciting. We're looking forward to a great summer, which we'll be able to highlight all the festivals that happen here in Columbus. This will be the first full year of Common Thread, which is the new downtown retail district. We're excited about that. We're also going to be welcoming the U.S. Conference of Mayors in June, so that's another high-profile group we'll have in the community, which I think all of us will be happy and honored to show what a great community we have. Also, some new restaurants coming into German Village, downtown on the peninsula, the Brewery District, and also the Short North Arts District. And the Columbus Library is celebrating their 150th anniversary. And I'm sure all of you know, but COSI was just voted the #1 science museum by USA Today for the 4th year in a row. Wow. So Dr. Bertley would, be upset if I didn't share that. And as we finish out this year, next year we're going to start off with a big bang because we're going to have the U.S. Olympic trials for figure skating. So a lot of great things going on which couldn't be done if we didn't have a great community and the support from the city council. And also just sitting back here and hearing all these wonderful individuals that are here in our community that are doing great things, and I'm sure will become entrepreneurs to continue to elevate our community as a destination of choice. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Brian. These things don't just happen. It's because of a lot of investment, a lot of work from your team and many others to bring folks here and to fill up the hotels and motels, and thus allow us to pour back into your organization, but also to pour into our social service agencies as well. And so we're very grateful for the visitors that come to Columbus. And I know Councilmember Banks and I were out this weekend and heard folks from around the country talking about how great Columbus was, who were here for the finals. So it was really neat to see the energy in Columbus, and we look forward to much more.
We're working hard to get rid of the fact that you're a great or the best kept secret. We don't want to be a secret.
I agree. I like that.
So,
are there any thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing that, I move for passage. Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorrance, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
Passed. There is no further business coming before council. Council will not be in session next Monday, so we will reconvene on the on April 3rd. Is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barroso de Padilla, Brown, Dorrance, Favor, Remy, President Hardin.
We are adjourned. We have one non-agenda.